Hey, Katrina here from Scruffy Horses. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to work on a round gift bag. And I have made this for a challenge over at Twisted Thursdays where the theme is rounded edges. So I thought, well, this would just be perfect. Now the sponsor over there is the paper shelter. So I'm starting off with this little snowman from the paper shelter and a little tag cut here from the Cricut Library. This little snowflake is from Anna's Christmas Kitsch, and the actual bag is from Plantin school book. Now I've also put together some other things I needed: the embossing powder and embossing ink, some Offray ribbon, my PITT pen, my distress ink, and a gem from Bo Bunny Double Dot Gems. So let's get started. I'm going to start off here with a little bit of that distress ink, and I'm going to go ahead and distress the edges of my gift bag. Now all of these little tabs are cut into the bag. It's itty bitty little cuts, so it makes it really easy to fold those over, and then I'm going to ink those edges so that when the edges come together, then they're inked and they look finished. So I'm going to go ahead and fold in the other side and ink those as well. Once this is all inked, then I'm going to fold the flaps in, and I will also fold in the bag front and the bag back. Now I'm just adding a little ink around the edge of the tag, and I did a little bit around the little snowman image. Now I'm adding some brown ink around just the very, very edge. It makes it look almost like it's been just barely backed with dark brown paper, but instead I'm just using that brown ink marker to go around the edge. Okay, coming in with some embossing ink on this little snowflake, and I'll tell you, it took me a lot longer than that to get that snowflake all covered with ink, and you want to make sure that every spot is covered so that your powder sticks, and then it will heat emboss. When it heat embosses, it will all be nice and shiny for you. You don't want dull spots in it, or at least I didn't want dull spots in mine. Occasionally I do heat emboss and just leave powder off of parts of it. However, on this one, I wanted it completely covered. I'm picking it up very carefully with my piercing tool, and then I accidentally dragged across it. So I want to cover that up and get that covered again. Again, I'm going over a few spots that I feel I may have missed, and I'm going to try this again, and I'm going to try really hard this time not to mess it up. Now I know that I'm putting a gem right smack dab in the middle of this snowflake, so I know that I can set my piercing tool right into the middle and hold it there while I'm heat embossing it. So I've got my heat tool out, and I usually let it heat up a little bit before I actually start the process. Now you can see here that I just slowly move my heat gun over, and the magic happens. There's something about watching this that I just find fun and amazing. Now I will also tell you that I missed a couple of spots, and I saw them, and I went back and heat embossed one more time on a couple of the spots that I missed right on the very edges of this snowflake. You can sort of see some of them that just didn't get quite heat embossed enough. Once that was done, I wanted to go ahead and let that sit a minute and then go ahead and construct the bag. This was a little bit tricky, and I'm going to confess it was trickier to film than it was actually to make the bag, because I wanted to flip it over then and do it from the other side, but then it was too hard to see on the video. And you can see here what I'm talking about. I wanted to do it that way so that I could really press it in, but then you just couldn't see what I was doing. So I went back to doing it this way. I would recommend going this direction right here, laying the bag front down onto a table and then press the tabs into it. But I went ahead and came back to doing it this way so that you could actually see what I'm doing there. And there you can sort of see, because I pulled that back and you can sort of see. Now I'm going to the back of the bag and I am gluing in the tabs that way. The only advice I would give you is go slowly and just as carefully as you can to keep it as round as you can. Don't go overboard with your glue, but be sure there's enough glue there to hold it. So I went ahead and deleted out the footage of the second side because I figured you'd already seen enough and you figured it out. And here's what the bag is going to look like then once it is constructed. It's a cute little bag. I like it. I think it's really cute. So now that that's all constructed, I'm going to add my snowflake. Here's hint number 2. I wish I had adhered this snowflake before I constructed the bag. That would have made so much more sense. Okay, on these itty bitty little bits of the snowflake, I went from using my fabric tack to using my Zig 2-way pen. It was just a lot easier to get it on those little parts because they're kind of skinny. All right, so here I am fighting this little snowflake to get it on there. And again, I wish I had just put it on before I constructed the bag. That would have made sense. But since I didn't, I had to make it work. So that's what I did. I flipped it over, stuck my hand in there, and then I actually put a stamping block inside and went over it and then just kept it there to dry. All right, while that's drying, I'm going to move on to my tag. I'm just putting my little, the paper shelter design here, this little snowman, and I will leave his information in the box below. And I glued him onto the tag. And I'm using a little E6000 to adhere my gem because this gem was from my stash and he had lost his little sticky back. Here I'm using some double-sided tape and I'm going to adhere that to this twine bow. I was sort of going for a country rustic look. I'm kind of thinking this might be a gift bag for my son. I chose red and beige papers and red papers from Victoria Designs, and I will leave that information in the box below also. I just love her papers. I think they're so beautiful and they print so nicely. So if you've never checked her out, I would recommend it. I really like her goodies. All right, so here I'm kind of looking at how I want to lay this onto the little box and figuring out how I want to then add the bow on top of that. I am not going to be gluing this tag onto that box. I'm keeping it separate. So I'm just going to glue the bow onto the tag. And now it's ready to put onto the little gift bag. So here's a little hint for you. If you want to adhere something but you don't want it to be permanent, just grab a paper clip that matches. I have some colored paper clips and I do that with tags and I think it's fun to do that. I also use them in journals. All right. Hey, it was great to spend time with you. Thanks so much for visiting my channel. Questions or comments, please leave them in the box below and I will get back to you and I'll catch up with you in the next video. Have a great day. Bye.